Good morning. I call to order this regular scheduled meeting of the Lake Havasu City Planning and Zoning Commission for May 15th, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Hannigan, please call the roll.
Commissioner Matthew Mitchell. Commissioner Susanna Ballard.
Present.
Commissioner Joan DeZuro.
Present.
Commissioner Paul Lair.
Here.
Commissioner Tiffany Wilson.
Here.
Commissioner Lonnie Stevenson.
Here.
Commissioner J.P. Thornton.
Here.
Commissioner Jim Harris.
Here.
Vice Chair Gabrielle Medley.
Here.
Chair David Diaz.
Here. Thank you. Mr. Gilbert, correspondence and announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have much to add since the last meeting other than the City Council on May 14th, which was last night, approved the Villa Estates subdivision PD amendment to reduce lot size from 15,000 to 12,000 square feet, and the Development Code text amendments for the metal siding and removing storage units from MUG district passed as well.
I think you
I'm
have
hearing
a
some
curse.
feedback.
You have a curse with your microphone.
Is everybody hearing me okay, or is this like a double speak?
We hear you.
Okay, thank you. And that's all I have. That's all I have for today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, commissioners, we all received the minutes. Are there any deletions, additions, or corrections? And if none, I'd like to get a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 1st, 2024 meeting. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Ballard and also a second by Commissioner Zuro. Any further discussion on the minutes? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing and there is a structured order to this process. City staff will present each item. There will be time for the commission to ask questions of the staff and the applicant, and will have an opportunity to present their case to the commission. Once that is completed, we will open a public hearing to give community members an opportunity to ask questions or provide input. I ask that everyone who wishes to speak limit their trips to the microphone to once per item and keep their comments to less than 5 minutes. Please stay on point and refrain from discussing subject matter and not pertinent to the item being considered. There will be an opportunity for the public to address the commission about other objects and topics not on the meeting agenda later in the meeting. After public testimony is taken, I will close the public hearing and bring the item back to the table for city staff's recommendation, further discussion amongst the commissioners, and eventually a motion to approve or disapprove. And thank you for adhering to this protocol. All right, the first item is ID number 24-4262, a request for a minor general plan amendment, revising the future land use map designation for 2778 and 2786 McCulloch Boulevard North, track 121, block 10, lots 2 and 3, 0.57 acres, from low density residential to high density residential. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to point out first that this is the first of 2 hearings related to this subject. The rezone comes second. This particular subject properties at 2778 and 2786 McCulloch Boulevard North have been in the low density land use. I'm going to advance one slide here. The land use category is low density residential. They've been in that category since the general plan was adopted in 2016. The zoning on the property, which I'll get to on the next slide, predates the general plan category, which is interesting because, and I'm going to advance the zoning, which is interesting because the zoning on this property to the east, to the west, and to the north is all R3 limited multiple family residential. And the land use plan was adopted with that underlying land use with existing zoning that was not changed to compensate for it. So what we have is we have projects coming in that are doing multiple family projects with the zoning that's there, and discovering that if they have to make a tweak or such as this applicant, the land use plan has to be consistent. So we're upgrading a land use plan to meet what the existing zoning is. There are large areas like this all around the city that we've noted on the maps that will be updated with the 2026 comprehensive plan update. Advance one more slide. And Mr. Chairman, that's really all I have on this one. I'll answer any questions you may have, and I'll get to recommendations following that and hearing from the public.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have any questions for staff on this item? All right, seeing none. Is the applicant present? Would you like to make any comments to the commission? Please state your first and last name and spell your last name for the record.
Frank Ortiz, O-R-T-I-Z. Just wanted to point out that this development has been on the works for the last couple of years prior to Chris, taking over the department. Goes back to the previous head of the department. Originally it was presented as an 11 unit in the pre-op meeting. Everything was a go. Plans were submitted to get the grading and the architectural plans completely done. The time that lapsed, there was a change in the parking requirement. So I had to comply with the new requirement. Therefore, the 11 units became 9 units, and that's where we are today. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any commissioners have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to discuss this item with the commissioners? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to ask the commissioners, I'm going to ask the staff for your recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends an approval recommendation for this application be forwarded to City Council.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion or a motion from the commissioners on this item?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harris.
I move that we approve ID 244262 with staff's recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Harris to approve. I'll second that. And we have a second by Vice Chair Medley. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
All right, the next is on the agenda is ID 244261, a request to approve a general development plan and plan development rezone for 2778 and 2786 McCulloch Boulevard North, Track 121, Block 10, Lots 2 and 3, 0.57 acres from limited multiple family R3 district to limited multiple family plan development R-3/PD district to allow 9 dwelling units across the 2 lots. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I went over in the previous slides for the previous hearing, the subject properties 2778, 2786 McCulloch Boulevard North are located in an R3 multiple family district. And we advance one slide here. The general plan was previously, well, still is, low density residential, and with the City Council's approval, that will be upgraded to high density residential to reflect the use that's actually on the property. And the zoning map, the R3 zoning is shown here, and you have the same R3 zoning and development, I might add, completely surrounding the property on 3 sides with R1 single family residential to the south. The next slide is the concept development plan. And as the applicant stated in the previous hearing, they did reduce it to 9 units. As you can see here, the current parking standards are met on the site, and with the requested changes, that'll be in the conditions I'll get to later, the site will be feasible to be constructed. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have on this one. I'll get to recommendations following answering questions hearing for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Anyone from the commission have any questions for staff on this? Okay, seeing none, does the applicant want to address us again on this, or are you good? It's up to you. Any questions from the commissioners to the applicant? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to open up to the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address the commission on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back to staff for recommendation. Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends approval of this application, which such recommendation being forwarded to the City Council with the following conditions. Condition 1, the minor general plan amendment recommended for approval by the Planning Commission as Land Use Action 24-4262 is approved by the City Council. Number 2, the development of the property shall substantially match the general development plan provided with the request. Number 3, combine lots 2 and 3 into one parcel through the city process for lot combinations prior to applying for a building permit. And by the way, lots 2 and 3 are the 2 parcels involved in the request. And number 4, building permits and design review for compliance with city codes are required prior to development of the property. Mr. Chairman, that completes my recommendations.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant understand staff's recommendations? Thank you. All right, looking for any further discussion and or a motion to approve or disapprove. Commissioner Ballard.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a recommendation to approval of Land Use Action 24-4261 for the General Development Plan and Plan Development Rezone for 2778 and 2786 McCulloch Boulevard North, Track 121, Block 10, Lots 2 and 3, subject to staff's continuing conditions.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second by Commissioner Harris. Any further discussion amongst the commissioners? All right, seeing none, we are ready to vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
All right, good luck to you. All right, the next item is ID 24-4263, request for a rezone of 2305 Victoria Farms Road, APN 120-03-017, a 10-acre meter and bounds parcel from light industrial LI district to industrial I district. Mr. Gilbert, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property owned by Troy Wild is approximately 10 acres in size, and it's off of Victoria Farms Road to the north through an easement through the adjoining property, which, by the way, was rezoned to industrial recently by the City Council. So next slide is the zoning map to show you the property is LI zoned right now. It's surrounded by other light industrial LI zoning and industrial to the south and to the west. And so the requested change would be consistent with all the surrounding zoning. The property was rezoned in 2020 by council to LI at Mr. Wild's request. And at the time, his letter of intent for his activities on the property were not fully well understood by the staff, and the LI zoning that he was requested to apply for turned out to not be sufficient for the activities that he had intended to put on the property. The I zoning is more appropriate for heavy industry, which is what he plans to do related to his recycling business. And so we asked Mr. Wild to return to upgrade the application to I so it would accommodate the use. There's no public street access to property. It's through an easement on neighboring property to the south. Mr. Chairman, that completes the staff report I have on that. I'll answer any question you may have and get to the recommendations after hearing from the public and the applicant, which, by the way, the applicant is remote.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commissioners on this one to staff? Okay, seeing none. The applicant, I understand you're online. You wish.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, would you please state your first and last name and spell your last name for the record?
Gretchen Wild, Wilde.
Okay, and go ahead and address the commission, please. You have any questions or comments for the commission?
No, not at this time.
Okay, does the commission have any questions for the applicant? Okay, no questions from the applicant or to the applicant from the commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back now to public comment. Anyone from the public like to address the commission on this item? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment and bring it back to staff for their recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since this is a straight rezone, it's not a PD, there's no conditions attached. Based on the findings, the Development Review Committee recommends an approval recommendation be forwarded to the City Council for this application.
Okay, thank you. The applicant, you understand the staff's recommendation? Okay, thank you. I saw you, but I didn't hear you, but I saw you. Okay, at this time, I'm looking for any further discussion from the commissioners and or a motion to approve or disapprove.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Harris.
I move to approve ID 244263 with staff's recommendations.
All right, we have a motion to approve by Commissioner Harris
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
and a motion second by Commissioner Lair. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we're ready to vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, that is the final item on our agenda. So now I'm going to open up for a call to the public. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission about a topic not on today's agenda. We are unable to respond directly or have a two-way conversation. If you would like to speak, please approach the podium and spell your last name for the record. Is there anyone from the podium who would like to address the commission at this time? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public comment. And Mr. Gilbert, your review of upcoming meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting is on June 5th, 2024, and there are 3 cases scheduled. And the following meeting has cases as well, but we're not sure it's finalized yet with 2 on it. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. With no further business I see, I'm going to close the meeting. It is adjourned.